Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Rader, and this is the first video of a two-part series on the critical reading for argument tool on the topic of inequality and measuring democracy for participation in government in our opening unit. And in the first lesson, the objective that your teacher will have for you is to practice using the critical reading for argument tool to determine whether inequality ought to be a measure of democracy. This is part one of a three-part lesson, and it corresponds to the three steps of this particular tool. In the introduction, your teacher will likely ask you to define the concept of inequality and to help you to consider what inequality might mean in your own life and to kind of think about the ways in which it might manifest in the world that we live in. And to really consider if inequality is an indicator of whether a society is democratic or not, building on the lessons that you looked at in day one and day two, looking at measuring democracy. So we'll first take a look in this short video on the critical reading for argument tool, and I'll show you some additional resources that may help you with completing this tool. So this is the tool itself, the critical reading for argument tool. So you may want to take a minute to look over this document, to read it over carefully. I highlighted some key details, and in particular, looking at confirmation bias and how it can lead us to consider or recall points that support or affirm our own positions, misconstrue or misunderstand points that seem parallel to our position, and ignore or minimize points that conflict with or challenge our positions. So today our focus really is doing step one, and I already pre-filled out the argument tool for this particular article that we're going to look at, but we will go over some of the key factors here so that you know how to go through this tool whenever you look at any document in your social studies class. So in step one, we're going to take a look first at the 4 moves plus 1 habit tool and flowchart. So you may, if you've seen this tool before, either in another class or earlier in this year, you may already be familiar with it. If not, take a moment and pause the video and read through the flowchart. And the flowchart itself corresponds to this tool, which is the 4 moves and 1 habit. So if you've never seen this before, I included some comments in the document to help you think through the 4 moves themselves, and then the habit really, which is all about fact checking the sources that you read. So for example, in move number 2, you'll want to look for the true or the original source. That's really looking for the primary source whenever possible. Could be a data report, a set of statistics, could be an interview, it could be a video or an image. And then move 3 is really important as well. This is what lateral reading is all about. And a really easy way to do this is to open up another tab on your browser and search for corroborating evidence. So it may be that the writer is affiliated with University of XYZ or EBC, etc. So in this lesson, the article that you'll be looking at is How Inequality Undermines Democracy by Oren M. Levin Waldman. So when we look at this tool, it's first asking us to look at who the author is, what the source is, the title of the article to consider who the intended audience would be, skimming the text, header, subtitles, considering what the text might be about, and then thinking about our predictions. How might we feel about this topic, or what might we anticipate having strong, positive, affirming, or negative or challenging emotions? So the way I completed the first 2 steps, under the article itself, I clicked on the writer's name, and it brings me to the author's profile on the website e-International Relations. So I read through this paragraph, and then I read laterally. I Googled the writer's name in a Google search, and it gave me a listing of resources about who this person is and their credentials so that I would know more about who they are. I applied the same logic when I looked up e-International Relations. So I started with the About Us page, which gives me information as to who the source is, who supports or backs the source, and who are the members and the goals of their team. And then I also looked at a lateral read, which is move 3, right? Remember, move 3, read laterally in 4 moves plus 1 habit. And I looked at the website itself to see what kind of search results I would get when looking up this website. And that allows me to complete these steps in step 1, which is the before reading for the document. All right. I left some of the spaces blank for you to consider as you read through this document with your teacher in class. But that's how we do step 1 in the critical reading for argument tool. And at the end of the lesson, your teacher will likely have you answer these wrap-up questions, considering the most challenging part of today's activity, the part of today's activity you felt you did your best in, and then if anything that you still felt that you were unclear about or would you like further support in. In the second video, in our next video, we will examine step 2 and step 3, which is the while reading of the article and then putting it all together. All right, everybody have a great day.